30,573. This is how many goals have been scored in the Premier League era. Actually, no, it would be a few hundred less. According to the Washington Post, this is how many false or misleading claims were made by Donald J. Trump during his first 4 years in office. This averages out at more than 20 a day. And this figure doesn't even include his first election campaign, whereby further falsehoods, wild accusations, and controversial condemnations were used repeatedly to get his name in the news. The fact he won, and actually came close to winning again, demonstrates the electorate's growing appetite for entertainment over integrity, for partisanship over compassion, and for post-truth over truth. The Wellingborough Conservative Association recently posted in their newsletter, presumably for would-be politicians, saying, and I quote, "Say the first thing that comes into your head. It will probably be nonsense, but if you make enough dubious claims fast enough, you may get away with it." Sound familiar? Dishonesty and tribalism are becoming far too intertwined in our politics. Read my lips. Politicians have always lied. This was noted 2,500 years ago by none other than Socrates. He emphasised you cannot rely on the views and declarations of those in power. So what's changed? It's how easily they're getting away with it. In this internet age, the news is 140 characters or less. Concentration is short and sources are sparse. Before the internet, most news came from a reputable source. You had radio, newspapers, and then TV. And whilst not being completely free from bias, a more well-rounded picture of the truth could be formed. Whereas now, most of our news comes from the gadget in our pocket, and we only listen to what we want to hear. Echo chambers only show us one side of the argument and are making us more polarised than ever. I myself am guilty of this. In the Brexit referendum and the 2017 election, I was left thinking, how could anyone vote for the other side? Likewise, seeing Trump campaigning, I was astounded at how he was being given the platform and getting support. I can still remember being woken up the day after the Brexit vote and the Trump election. My brother coming into my room and saying, "Finn, the other side won." Having only seen the good of one side and the bad of the other, it was difficult to comprehend. And a similar feeling passed over me after both results, which I'm sure I wasn't alone in, one of disbelief, disappointment, and shock. Whichever side of the Brexit debate you were on, the other was wrong. This put a strain on many relationships, particularly among generational lines. And according to YouGov, around 3/4 of young people who voted to Remain believe that older people are prejudiced, while Brexiteers called anyone who disagreed with them an elitist Remoaner. What the Brexit and Trump campaign have in common is their use of help from the controversial Cambridge Analytica, who use people's data, particularly what they fear and care about, to micro-target them ads for specific promises and pledges based on these cares and fears. Technology and the internet are pushing us into echo chambers and are making us unable to hear anything outside of them. Who wins or loses an election is less important than the threat to the integrity of elections themselves. People must be able to make up their mind freely, with a clear head, based on sound understanding of their interests and with accurate information at hand. However, we are at risk of elections being won by those with the data and the money. Based on current trends in advertising technology, within 10 years, every single voter could receive a completely unique and personalised advert from the same candidate. In this not so distant future, where will be the accountability? How will we know what to believe? And will we keep faith in democracy? Not if we carry on like this. It's easy to imagine democracies ending by those with the military behind them, quite literally in Myanmar recently. But democracy can go down quietly through elected governments, slowly removing the institutional handrails with the support of a polarised, divided and angry citizens behind them. Sound familiar? Democracy won't save itself, but we can. We need action from our governments to upgrade election campaign laws so that social media spending is recorded and available, just like they do with other adverts. The government itself must keep updated with technology so that it doesn't fall too far behind Google and Facebook, and keep the algorithms that dictate our online lives accountable to public interest. We need to act too. We need to get back to a spirit of compromise. We need to actually listen to what other people are saying rather than simply dismissing them. Please break out of your echo chamber. As well as this, we must be informed, independent-minded, and alert to what we consume and think critically of where it's coming from. This can come from education, where we must be taught how to discriminate between different types of information, between truth and post-truth. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi minister for propaganda, once said, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it." Sound familiar? Post-truth was the Oxford Dictionary's word of the year in 2017. Let's make sure it doesn't become the word of the century. Thank you.